For the 49ers running back room. A lot of news there today. Patrick Taylor Jr. headed to injured reserve ahead of the roster cut down. He has to have surgery on the dislocated shoulder. Tough break for Patrick Taylor Jr. 49ers Kyle Shanahan said that it means that he's out for the season, so the 49ers weren't afraid to put him on IR, which means that he can't return to play for the 49ers this year unless he's released, and there's would have to be a big list of things that would happen, including an injury settlement for him to be eligible to return and play for the 49ers. But all of that is moot if he's not even going to be healthy this season. Bad break for Taylor, but Isaac Guerendo returned to practice maybe a little bit earlier than a lot of people expected today. So the 49ers did not have to sign a running back after all, even though they lost two of them in the game against the Raiders. Corey Kiner, the rookie, went down on a nice run, but he suffered a fairly severe high ankle sprain. Kyle Shanahan today said that the high ankle sprain was worse than your typical high ankle sprain. So Corey Kiner is going to be out for a while. You usually think about a month with high ankle sprains. And, then you could talk about 6 weeks if it's slightly on the worse end. And then you might even talk about a longer time if his was particularly bad. He did have to be carted off the field, which you don't always see with that injury. But the 49ers got Gerendo back today. He actually took the very first carry of practice for San Francisco. So he also caught a nice wheel route from Brock Purdy. That was a very pretty play. I was sitting watching that throw on a diagonal. I was probably 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage and 5 yards away from the sideline. And I was looking on a diagonal. I saw Isaac Guerendo split off on the wheel route down the sideline, and Purdy lofted a beautiful pass. And he knew, based on the trajectory of the pass and the speed with which it would get to Isaac Guerendo, he knew that he could beat the safety there, and the safety wasn't able to get there in time. And Gerendo picked up the big gain. It's exactly, the type of play that makes Isaac Guerendo special, that makes him a good complement to Christian McCaffrey. He can run routes. He can catch the football. Purdy's going to trust him. Remember the game against the Bears last year when he found Gerendo on the wheel downfield? He also found Gerendo on a wheel downfield against Detroit Lions. Basically, December of last season was the Isaac Gerendo show. Christian McCaffrey came back for the game against Buffalo, but got hurt early on after an impressive first quarter. So Isaac Gerendo later in that game scored a touchdown on a swing pass. And then against Chicago after that, he had a good game receiving. And then later on against Detroit, he had a really good game. So Gerendo, he took full advantage of his opportunity in December of last year before he got hurt in January, the season finale against Arizona. Those of you wondering, I'm sure there's some people already commenting, why are you driving and doing a video talking about the 49ers? Well, I'm not. I'm letting Casper do the driving right now. We don't arrive for another 25 minutes, so you're stuck with me for quite a bit of time as we talk about the 49ers running back room. A lot of people asking about Brian Robinson Jr. because it looks like Washington wants to trade him. And obviously the 49ers have a relationship with Washington's front office. Adam Peters is the GM there. Robinson is a bruising running back, 225 pounds, runs a 4.5 40, has put up 3 decently productive seasons in the NFL. He's been consistent, about 4 yards a carry, 700 plus yards a season in all 3. And because of that, he's earned the proven performance escalator, which means that he's set to make $3.4 million this year, despite the fact that he was a third-round pick who wouldn't otherwise be scheduled to make much more than $1 million in the final season of his rookie contract. But if you hit certain performance benchmarks, the NFL does hook it up with the proven performance escalator, $3.4 million. Ian Rappaport today reported that Washington might even be willing to eat part of Robinson's contract, because if he's going to be running back 3 for someone, $3.4 million is probably a little steep. A little steep for Washington as well. They probably want some late round draft compensation and some contract relief for Brian Robinson Jr. if they're not going to have him on the football team. I think with compensation relief, you can't rule him out. of a 49ers possibility. I don't think they would want Brian Robinson Jr. though at 3.4 million. I think it would have to be a little bit less for San Francisco. We're about to make the turn right now, theoretically. Let's see. I mean, we've been stuck in traffic here, which is good because we get a little bit more time to talk about the 49ers. Finally, look at that. We are making the turn. I love it. All right, Casper. Casper has us on our way. We will be there in 24 minutes. That's Richie Grant's number. Richie Grant still not at practice. One of the many 49ers hurt, but they got 6 guys back today, including Guerendo, including Renardo Green. That was nice for San Francisco. And the running back room, Christian McCaffrey is going through individual drills. He did that today. Today was not a team drill day for Christian McCaffrey. It was a relatively light day for the 49ers. Nick Bosa did the same thing. He was an individual, then didn't take part in team. I'm guessing both of those guys will be part of team drills tomorrow, unless they continue to rest Bosa. But he was back in uniform after the sore neck held him out a little bit last week. But Gerendo back is big for the 49ers because we see him as running back number 2 for them. He is a good complement for McCaffrey in that he can catch the football. You're much more comfortable giving McCaffrey a breather with somebody who is reliable in the pass game. With Patrick Taylor Jr., I have to say that he is someone who was not reliable last year in the pass game. I think that he worked hard to improve his receiving capabilities over the course of the offseason and this training camp. I think that he was doing much better in that regard. I think that he definitely had blossomed into somebody who could be a running back 3 for the 49ers. A good pass protector, by the way, which is really important. So it's a tough injury for Patrick Taylor Jr. To be shelved for the entire season when you were finally able to carry yourself with that true 53-man aura. I mean, I know that he had made rosters in the past, but he had been generally buried deep down the rosters. This year, especially with Guerendo out and Christian McCaffrey obviously taking it easy at some points of training camp for obvious reasons, Patrick Taylor would enter a lot of practices as the 49ers' top running back. And there is a certain responsibility that comes with that. There's a certain aura that comes with that. And, when we look at NFL career trajectories, especially the running back position, every single year in your low to mid 20s is valuable. Every single year is a year closer to that expiration date in a sport where youth is king. It is a young man's sport. Even guys like Christian McCaffrey in their upper 20s are defying the odds at the running back position. So I just like to think of this first from the player standpoint, from a personal standpoint, because this is the livelihood for Patrick Taylor Jr. He's going to get paid this year. He's going to get, I think it was a league minimum salary, so it's a little bit over $1 million for him. He's going to get paid for this. It's not like, you get hurt and all of a sudden you don't get paid. That's good for him, but this does compromise future earnings for him. This does compromise his career moving forward because it's a serious injury that's shelving him for a prime year of his athletic life. So I think that instead of treating these players as commodities, right, instead of saying, okay, well, they're just going to have to bring in another running back and it's a good thing Isaac Guerendo's back because they don't have to sign anybody else. Think of it from Patrick Taylor Jr.'s side. And it's not nice. It's the uglier side of a very, very physical sport. And the 49ers will have to move on without him on the roster or on the active roster this year. He's going to be on injured reserve. Some of these guys that plan to return who are put on IR, they reach injury settlements with the 49ers. So somebody like Bradley Anayi, somebody like Amir Abdullah, another running back, somebody like Equanimous St. Brown, all those guys have reached injury settlements with the 49ers here in recent days, which means that they've been released from the roster and they can now sign with other teams. And I'm sure another team is going to find a way to re-sign those guys once they're healthy, unless they've already passed the physical now and the 49ers just put them on IR to open up a roster spot when they did get hurt. So those are the roster machinations that are going to be happening. You know, one other piece of information that I talked about a little bit earlier today is Yetur Gross-Matos. That recovery is not coming along as quickly as the 49ers had hoped. This drive is now moving a little bit more quickly than it initially started, and we can take a look at San Francisco City Hall here on the corner of Van Ness and Grove making the drive. But Yetur, I project him as an important part of the 49ers defense. I see him almost as a mentor of sorts for Mykel Williams, because if you look at the plans that they have for Mykel, it's to be a base down edge rusher and an interior rusher in nickel situations. That's what Yetur Gross-Matos did for the 49ers to some good effectiveness last year. That's definitely what they have in plan for Mykel Williams, and you want at least two of those guys, two guys who can perform the outside in role. Well, Yetur's had a knee issue that has kept him out of the entirety of training camp so far. Because of that, he started training camp on PUP, physically unable to perform. And now the roster cut down is only a week away, and the 49ers are acknowledging that there's a chance that he's going to stay on PUP into the regular season beyond the roster cut down. What does that mean? Well, it means that Yetur Gross-Matos would miss at least 4 games. So they're going to have to make a decision coming up here in a week. If they think that he's going to be ready by week 1 or week 2, and they don't want him to automatically miss 4 games, they're going to have to carry him on the 53-man roster if they want him back for week 1 or week 2. If they think this is not going well, we don't want to burn a roster spot on this guy, they do have the flexibility, the luxury even of keeping him on PUP. The only way you could stay on PUP into the regular season if you were already on it. But that decision is going to have to be made by August 26th when you create your initial 53-man roster. And it's, yet another complication for this 49ers defensive line. Because, this is a team that is obviously going to a lot of rookies. Now, 2 of those prized rookies are out of practice. Mykel Williams probably won't be back until next week. I'm guessing CJ West, similar timeline, similar injury. So you're down your 2 rookie defensive linemen. You're down several veteran defensive linemen. You got Sam Okawanu back at practice today. That's nice, but I think that Yetur Gross-Matos fits into a very specific role for the 49ers along that defensive line, the multifaceted role. They ran it with Arden Key back in the day, right? Charles Omenihu back in the day. The rusher who would move inside against guards on third downs. It's brought tremendous success to Chris Kosurik's defensive lines. It's been a way for him to maximize the talent that he has up there. He does stuff like this. I think he's a pioneer of it. I think he does some of these rotational shifts up front more than other defensive line coaches around the league. We've seen him yield big-time production out of guys who have previously been journeymen in this league, previously hadn't had much production, through some of his outside-in techniques. Yetur Gross-Matos is a player who didn't have all too much production at his first stop with Carolina in a 3-4, playing a stand-up outside linebacker job. Yetur is somebody who won an NFC Defensive Player of the Week last year, playing the outside-in role. So that's what the 49ers hope to do with Mykel Williams. That's what they hope to have at some point with Yetur Gross-Matos. But he currently isn't available for the 49ers right now, and they're going to have to make that big PUP decision coming up at some point next week. I know that I talked about the running back position to start. Why don't we discuss how the 53-man roster is starting to shape up at running back? In the past, Kyle Shanahan has carried 4 on the 53, plus a fullback, which is going to be Kyle Juszczyk. By the way, Josh Hokett, former 49ers fullback Josh Hokett, who for a while we thought maybe he might be the heir apparent to Kyle Juszczyk, he is now an MMA fighter, and he's got a fight tonight. And if he wins, I understand that there's a chance that Josh Hokett might get a UFC contract. So we'll see what happens on that front. I could keep you updated on that front. But he was with the 49ers back in 2020, 2021, and I think cut in 2022 during training camp. But he has become an MMA fighter. He was a wrestler back in college at Fresno State, a really good one before that. And then, I mean, stuck around long enough for the 49ers on the practice squad, but Kyle Juszczyk has outlasted everybody in the Shanahan era. Kyle Juszczyk is the longest tenured 49er. He joined the team in March of 2017 as a free agent. And, you could argue that he wasn't on the team for 3 or 4 days this offseason before he came back. But, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we've seen Kyle Juszczyk stick around from 2017 all the way to 2025. See if he can get on that 10-year wall for the 49ers. Entering year 9, just like me with San Francisco, covering the 49ers. George Kittle joined a couple months later. But anyway, Juszczyk is going to be part of the 53 at that running back room. Then there's going to be Christian McCaffrey. That's 1. So we're going to get to 4 running backs, right? Christian is 1. Hokit already won? First round knockout? I didn't even know. I thought that fight was going to be a little bit later. Cool. All right, so we got a 49ers, ex-49ers update. Josh Hokit won, first round knockout. Mike, can you confirm that happened? One of our commenters said that. Not that I don't believe you, but I just want to make sure that what I'm reporting here is true. And if Josh Hokit gets his UFC contract, then we'll talk about that on the show as well. But anyway, Juszczyk is the fullback, not Hokit. Number 1 is Christian McCaffrey. That's 1 of 4 running back spots. Number 2 is Isaac Guerendo, right? Patrick Taylor Jr. is no longer going to be one of the 4 for the 49ers. So where else do the 49ers go? Jordan James, I think, is going to be number 3. That's the rookie out of Oregon, 5th round pick for San Francisco, who built a lot like Devontae Freeman. He broke his finger, about 10 days ago? But he was working off on the side today, and he had a little bandage. It looked over the pinky finger, or maybe the finger, or the ring finger, right? It goes pinky finger, ring finger. Then there's the middle finger. You could flip people off with it. I'm not going to do that with the YouTube show right now. Then you've got your index finger, and then you got your thumb. It looked like it was either the pinky or the index finger, or the ring finger. Sorry, I'm not good with with naming all of the different digits on the hand, but it looked like it was either the pinky or the ring finger that had the bandage around it, with Jordan James working out today. But he's going to be running back number 3 for the 49ers. I think he'll be back soon enough, maybe even before this game, definitely before the roster cutdown. Confirmed, by the way, Josh Hokit won his fight, so congratulations to the ex-49ers fullback. Jordan James is going to be that third running back for San Francisco. So then you ask, are they going to take 4? Because they usually have taken 4. And then you ask, well, did Corey Kiner impress them enough to take Corey Kiner, even though he's got a high ankle sprain and you're going to have to put him on injured reserve right after he makes the roster? I mean, that's a really interesting question for me, because in the past, the 49ers have lost running backs at an astounding rate. This offseason has been the same. They've lost a ton of running backs as well. Is Kiner somebody that you're saying, okay, wait, we want him available down the stretch when more guys get hurt? And if that's the case, you're between a rock and a hard place for the 49ers, because the only way that he can come back is if he makes the initial 53-man roster. And the only way that he makes the initial 53-man roster is if he takes somebody else's spot. Now, you could run clever roster maneuvers. You can re-sign a guy a day later. You can do all this and all that. But that would be bending over backwards for an undrafted rookie, right? That's something that I don't know is all too likely or all too precedented. So we'll see where Corey Kiner ends up. They could also just stash him on injured reserve for the season, because they do have Jeff Wilson Jr. still healthy right now, who can, wow, Casper's changing lanes here. Aggressive moves. I know we have to make a right turn soon. We're going to be there in 8 minutes. But they've got Jeff Wilson Jr. and they've got Keyshawn Vaughn, who was with their practice squad last season. And those guys are going to get a lot of carries here in the preseason. And we'll see if Jeff Wilson Jr., maybe a veteran who has already been in the system and the 49ers trust to a certain degree, maybe he's a better candidate for that 4th running back spot. But then again, you could also say, hey, we can get Jeff Wilson Jr. through to the practice squad. If the 49ers say that, then they can cut him and re-sign him, bring him back to the practice squad. The issue with Corey Kiner is that because of the injury, he's got to make the 53 if you want a chance for him to return at some point for San Francisco. All right, another right turn. We're heading up Russian Hill. This is where the scenic part of the drive starts. So the camera doesn't have to face me the whole time. We can go by Polk Street. We could see good old Cole Hardware. Could look at Green Sports Bar. I mean, there's a lot going on in this neighborhood. This is Russian Hill for you. I used to live in Russian Hill. Good times, good memories. We can go on by Amarena, good Italian restaurant. We're going to keep it pointed this way. That's the situation, though, in the 49ers running back room. They also are dealing with a quarterback injury, right? Mac Jones sprained his knee. I think I know when it happened. I was watching the game. I was in Vegas, where the weather was much hotter than it was here in San Francisco. Here's Amarena, right on the corner. You guys see it? Good spot. I know I recommend it a lot when we drive by. I used to live on this block. That was my old street, Larkin. Wonder if we're going to turn left on Hyde. But Mac Jones, you know, there was a play where he was scrambling and he really looked to take an awkward step near the sideline. Now, he continued playing and he played well. He was 13 of 16. But I cringed a bit when he took that awkward step. I thought, you know, it looked like something might have happened there. And it turns out that something did. I think that was the play. I think that he sprained his knee. I'll confirm that with Mac here at some point. Make the turn onto Restaurant Row. These are cable car tracks, by the way, in San Francisco. So I can confirm that at some point. But I really, really do think that that was the play that he got hurt. And because of that, the 49ers had to bring in Nate Sudfeld. Really, really good ice cream here, by the way, Swenson's. Swenson's ice cream with a Turkish coffee ice cream that hits hard. It's nice and caffeinated. You take a couple bites of the Turkish coffee ice cream and you're not going to be able to sleep, at least if you're me. I'm pretty caffeine sensitive. The caffeine has to come in before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Otherwise, it's not good. So Mac is down at quarterback, and the 49ers had to bring Nate Sudfeld back. And that fits the week's reunion theme perfectly. The cable car here fits the video perfectly. Look at that. Cable car. Oh, we just dodged the cable car. Look at that. It's like we had to take evasive action, but that was cable car with Alcatraz in the background. Nice shot, right? And now we can see Lombard Street, too, as we go. And we could talk about this great 49ers reunion. Nate Sudfeld was their QB in 2021. That was when Trey Lance was a rookie. 3rd overall pick. Sudfeld was still with them in 2022. They gave him some guaranteed money as well for 2022. But he was beat out for a roster spot by somebody named Brock Purdy. So you're going to have Trey Lance, Nate Sudfeld, and Brock Purdy all back and in action. I'm assuming Purdy will see sometime. If he doesn't, then he's still going to be there. Everybody's going to be back, along with Jim Harbaugh and Navarro Bowman, who's the Chargers linebackers coach, at this game on Saturday. What a fun reunion, right? Look at the water. Let's check water conditions. I'm about to swim in it. Looked like we had some white caps out there. I know it's shaky. I'm sorry about the shakiness. I just wanted to zoom in. Look, we can see the Golden Gate Bridge. See past the wheel here of Casper as we make it to the Dolphin Club. It's been such a busy day for me that I wasn't able to swim earlier. I was in Santa Clara a little bit earlier. This car's going crazy. We're like doing some swerving right now. I don't know. I think there's something wrong with the AI today. I mean, we definitely took unnecessary evasive action against the cable car. And now we seem to be taking unnecessary evasive action against maybe Casper's friend. Maybe he's got an invisible friend trying to dodge him on the road. It's like a running back who's just not running north and south, taking too many cuts. Too many cuts, too much wiggling. You know, you don't want that. You want to get north and south as fast as possible if there are no defenders in the way. All right, does anybody have any questions? I think I've gone through all the news from today. And there's been a lot of it, right? We started with that running back news. We continued with the quarterback signing with Nate Sudfeld, and then we found out that Mac Jones had the knee sprain. It's been a busy day of 49ers news. It was the first day of actual practice for the 49ers when it came to preparing for the regular season. Training camp is over. Camp is over, and the 49ers are now game planning for the Chargers. This is the dress rehearsal week, and it just happens to be a really cool reunion. I have an article up on the San Francisco Standard. Go check it out about the reunion. Harbaugh, Lance. We embedded the Kezar Stadium video into there. Kezar Stadium, a San Francisco institution, alongside, well, Alcatraz is a San Francisco institution, but so is the Buena Vista Cafe. Look, we're going past it. It's the Irish coffee spot. You guys see it, the Buena Vista? A lot of cool history there.
Don't forget your phone.
All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Hopefully I see you on the other side of getting into the San Francisco Bay right now. There's your 49ers update. We will talk to you very, very soon.